So what brings you to Rollins?
My name is Lari Martinez. I'm with the State Department, the Department of State. It's the Foreign Affairs branch of the federal government, and I'm what's called a Foreign Service Officer. And Foreign Service Officers are American diplomats, and we're the ones that work overseas at American embassies and consulates representing the United States and advocating on behalf of American persons, whether they be natural persons such as yourself or whether they could be corporations. And I'm here at the invitation of your wonderful Career Services Office.
You mentioned there are 250 countries with a U.S. embassy. Can you sort of elaborate on the importance of languages?
Language is an important factor for our work, but for students or other persons who may be seeing this, there is no requirement of any foreign language in order to join the Foreign Service. The only language you really must be able to speak and write effectively and correctly is English. All the other languages, if you're assigned, for example, when I was assigned to work at our consulate, I was the Consul General in Florence, Italy, I did not speak Italian. I could use a lot of the food words because we love Italian food and I know a lot of Italian food words. But it's difficult to have a conversation stringing together all the food items in Italian. So I was sent to Italian classes and I learned to speak Italian. Later, when I was sent to work to be the Consul General and work at our embassy in Athens, Greece, I also was sent to Greek language classes and I learned to speak Greek.
What type of people do you hire and what characteristics are you looking for in a person?
Great question. We hire all types of people. And the reason we hire all types of people is because you could consider the State Department, in effect, if we were a private corporation, we probably would be the largest private corporation in the world. And I say that because we have offices in over 150 countries around the world in the form of embassies, consulates, etc. And we also have missions, which includes also missions to international organizations in totally about 250 different offices, but we're in about 150 countries of the world. And in order to run this type of international corporation, multinational corporation, we hire all types of majors. We're looking for, of course, the traditional political science, international relations. We look for people like yourself in the area of communications and public relations because we do have an entire branch of the State Department that is called public diplomacy. And they're the ones that deal with international cultural and educational exchanges and also with relations with the media because it's important that we're able to communicate on a one-to-one basis when we're overseas with both individuals, institutions, and the media. We also hire business persons, for example, because we need people to run these offices. For example, let's say if you were in Nairobi, Kenya, when the disaster occurred, when the bombing of the embassy and the entire embassy was blown up, we actually need people who are managers, who are engineers, who are system information, who are information technology persons, in order to rebuild our infrastructure so that the diplomats can continue to do their work. So we hire all types.
You're here to promote the student internship experience. What can you tell us about it?
I strongly recommend students to seriously consider doing at least one or multiple internships. The internship program, it's called the Student Internship Program of the State Department. It's available year-round. However, for the summer of 2009, the deadline is coming up. It's going to be November 3rd. The entire process is available online. The most important document in your application is going to be your statement of interest, where you describe why you want to participate in this internship program. Our internships are both in Washington and all over the world. As I mentioned, we have 250 missions offices in over 150 countries around the world. So a student from Rollins College could easily get on a plane and go and work at the American consulate in Hong Kong.
You've been in this field for 22 years. Does that mean you like your job?
Yes, I really love what I do. It's a tremendous responsibility, especially when we're assigned overseas. but there's no greater pleasure than knowing that either you're doing something that's positive on behalf of a great country, or you're doing something that's positive in order to assist an American citizen or an American corporation that may be overseas, and you're in effect helping them, either negotiating a contract, providing information, putting things in the proper context, or it could be involving the death of a loved one that happened to be. I remember when I was in Spain, and I set up an office in Pamplona, and we had a young college student who had just graduated from undergraduate and was on their graduation trip, and they went to run with the bulls, and the young man was gored and died. And that was even though it was a horrible situation to deal with, as an American diplomat, one of the things that we did do was to make sure that we were there to provide the support and assistance to the family, so that a horrible situation could be dealt with in a smooth, as easily as possible.